For your next project, you'll be creating a layout that emulates the specs within National Geographic. National Geographic historically has been a very good example of incorporating type with image. Very, very clean, very easy to read, very professional. The layout you're looking at here is from National Geographic's, it's a section in the front of the magazine called Next. It's just several pages, which has per page, in general, per page has 2 stories, just about scientific, either science news or science trivia. And this is what you'll be creating. But first, let's go up to the specs here. The specs are on Blackboard. This entire PDF that you're viewing in the screencast is on Blackboard, so I'm not going to read the entire thing. It spells out what typefaces are that you can use and so on. The one thing I want to point out is the way this project is going to go. The deliverable is a 2-page PDF. For page 1, I'm going to provide for you the images and the text. You're going to create a layout that emulates National Geographic's Next section layout. The page 2, there's more creativity involved. You are going to decide what images to get. You're going to find the science news stories. In other words, you're going to get the materials, the text and the images to create page 2. So page 1 should be pretty cut and dry for you. So let's go on and talk about the layouts. Okay, again, remember your goal for this exercise, or for this project, it's a 100-point project, is to emulate this type of layout. So here's one example, and here's the second example. And if we look in the upper right, you can see the first image I showed you and the second layout are very, very similar. There's a long column of text on the right. There's a shorter, not shorter, it's a visually shorter text box on the left that spans 2 columns. And in general, see how the images are placed in general, in the same place. So that's one solution that they use. Here's another solution. A large image spanning all the columns. The text box, the text underneath is spanning 2 columns, and likewise below, spanning multiple columns. So here's another example of that same type of layout. And if you look in the upper right of the screencast, you can see the similarities. So in general, they have 2 solutions, but there are variations. Like this is a hybrid of the 2, which you can certainly use. And this is not as difficult as you might think it will be, because there's a lot of givens here that you have to follow, a lot of parameters. And when you work professionally, this is exactly the things you're going to confront. Is your art director is going to tell you, you have to use this typeface, it has to be this size, it has to be this style, etc. So looking in the upper right of the layout here, let me use my pointer right here. There's usually a one-liner with a little vector image. The title of the main story is always bold and a larger point size. The body text is always sans serif. The author's name is always in italics. And this is all written here, so you don't have to memorize this. It's all in the PDF. There's this horizontal bar of a certain line style, which I'll provide for you. Now the secondary story is in a gray scale, a gray shade. Okay, and yes, this all makes a difference because everything has to be consistent. And the point size here is smaller. Okay, so if you're throwing your hands up and saying, geez, how am I going to do all this stuff? First of all, it's all written down here in the PDF. Secondly, and this is the good news, I provide you an InDesign document that's the correct size, okay? The margins are already set up for you, and I provide for you this little next type, this rule, okay? So let me show you here. Besides the layout, for the page 1, here's the materials that are provided for you on Blackboard. So you're going to download the text files that I just pictured on the left here. You're not going to get the materials in this way. I'm just for the purposes of this presentation, I just put it on this one page here. You're going to get 3 separate images that you see here, and you're going to be provided with this horizontal rule. So your mission is to take this stuff and build something similar to that or this. Okay? No problem, right? And as I said, for your page 2, you are going to decide what science-related stories that you are going to use. And on the last page of this PDF, I have some advice here that you can read. I'm not going to read this entire thing. Basically, just pay close attention to the specs that I've given you. Okay, look closely at the examples. The InDesign file I provide, I give you a blank InDesign file. It's all set up with columns and so on. You just have to place the stuff in the correct place. For page 2, I would suggest going to places like NASA.gov, Scientific American, places like that to find something science related. So just remember that this has to look like a credible National Geographic page, all right? And use high-res photos. Pay attention to the rules of the typography that are given on this page in particular. And just kind of meditate on these layouts. Look at the materials that are given and ask yourself, what layout would I use? Should I use this format or this one? And I'm giving you guys a huge hint, okay, by telling you that. So do your best. Be mindful of when the first drafts of this exercise or this project is due. Remember, it's 2 pages, 2-page deliverable. If you're struggling, having trouble, you can always ask me. The other thing, remember, turn it in on time. We go over it as a group. Your compadres and I will help you through any problems, but the key thing is to turn it in on time, and you'll be able to re-edit and redo this, and I'm sure you'll succeed. So good luck.